What's going on, guys? Bobby with Consumer Time Capsule, back with another review for you here. And today, at long last, we are finally reviewing Crystal Pepsi, which has been a favorite of the Consumer Time Capsule YouTube channel, and more specifically, of mine, for a very, very, very long time. Now, Crystal Pepsi, just to give you some backstory, some history, some perspective, it was released initially in test markets in 1992, specifically on April 13th, 1992, in 5 test markets: Denver, Dallas, Sacramento, Grand Rapids, and Providence. Did exceptionally well in those test markets and ended up leading to Pepsi as a brand being like, they were just going all in on Crystal Pepsi, essentially. They were like, this thing needs a national release, needs a ton of media blitz. So, and I guess it's kind of part of that, just to tie it in with the CTC channel. They came out with the Crystal Pepsi employee-only marketing video, which you can actually find on the Consumer Time Capsule homepage right now. It's about a 16.5-minute video where you can really learn in depth the history and really get some perspective of like that late 1992 mindset that they had. So go check that out if you haven't yet, before you even check out the review. But anyway, they were very optimistic, thinking that Crystal Pepsi was going to be a really strong brand for them. So they did a national launch that coincided with Super Bowl 27. They had the, you know, like that right now, like Van Halen. Yeah, right, that Van Halen song. They had that behind it. That commercial is also in the Consumer Time Capsule archive, so make sure you check it out. But anyway, really, we're feeling like this was going to be a strong brand for them. Unfortunately, what really happened was, upon that national release in early 1993, it did well. People bought it, but they really only bought it one time. If they liked Pepsi, they pretty much just bought Pepsi. Like, they bought Crystal Pepsi one time as a curiosity. This is the original design of Crystal Pepsi that you guys have probably seen before, but that's what it looked like in 12-ounce cans. And the thing about Crystal Pepsi was, it was really kind of positioned as a kind of a lighter, healthier alternative to regular Pepsi. There were no additives or preservatives. It was lower in sodium. It had no caffeine, which we're going to get to why that's important here very soon. And you know, I guess it just didn't really appeal to many folks' palate. It was available in a diet variety initially, but no longer. So diet Crystal Pepsi is pretty much dead. I think we can all admit that now. They have brought back Crystal Pepsi now 4 times, and not brought back diet Crystal Pepsi. But essentially what happened was Coca-Cola came out with a rival kamikaze brand product called Tab Clear. You guys may have heard of Tab. It's kind of Coca-Cola is pretty disgusting, like diet, like it's a 1-calorie beverage that's just disgusting. And they were kind of self-aware about that. They made a sugar-free Tab Clear that looked like it was supposed to compete with Crystal Pepsi, but it was really just trying to kind of diminish the reputation of what looked like it may be a strong brand for Pepsi. Because of that, and because of sales just kind of lagging, they ended up reformulating Crystal Pepsi and technically renaming it. They called it Crystal from Pepsi. In 1994, they came out with this can design, so a totally new can design, still caffeine-free, but added citrus taste to the cola. So really, that sounds pretty disgusting, and I think I can be pretty confident in saying that it probably didn't taste good, since we did try Coca-Cola Clear on the CTC review number 76, which was pretty much the same concept. In Japan, and if you're in Japan right now, this is still out, but this past spring, Coca-Cola came out with Coca-Cola Clear. Coca-Cola Clear adds like a lemon flavor to cola, so very similar to Crystal from Pepsi. And you know, this did not last. Basically, a few months in, they had kind of figured out that the Crystal Pepsi name in brand was damaged enough that they just had to shelve it permanently. But it turns out that the nostalgia for it grew and grew and grew. Actually, friend of the channel, LA Beast, was instrumental in getting Pepsi inspired to bring back Crystal Pepsi. So in December of 2015, Pepsi, I guess there's like a thing called Pepsi Pass. It was like an app, and you had to like register for it and try to enter to win a 6-pack of Crystal Pepsi. And they had 12-ounce bottles that had the same label as the new one, and they would send these to you with the design being to get there by Christmas. And I didn't win it. I wasn't one of the 3,000 people chosen. That was really heartbreaking and disappointing to me. But in 2016, in the summer of 2016, Crystal Pepsi finally got a national release. It's the exact same formula that you see here today, but not the same formula that it used to be. Now it's 65, I believe, or excuse me, 63 milligrams of caffeine in each bottle. So like around like a normal like cup of Folgers coffee or so. Of course, the initial one didn't have any caffeine in it. It actually did pretty well. I mean, the nostalgia for it had grown over time, and the curiosity for it had grown. So they ended up taking it away, but bringing it back in the summer of 2017, and then now again in the summer of 2018. So I know I threw a lot at you guys. You might need to watch that twice if you really want to learn your Crystal Pepsi history. Nonetheless, the CTC review wasn't out last summer when Crystal Pepsi got its third re-release. So thank God they decided to bring it back one last time, although I think next summer that'll probably be proven wrong. And, you know, we were just like, let's see how close this really tastes to actual Pepsi. So, in a moment, you're going to see an actually blind taste test between Crystal Pepsi and regular brand Pepsi. So, I'm going to throw on a blindfold here, and we're going to see which one of these tastes better. We're going to see if they taste identical. We're basically just going to figure this out without like the bonus Crystal Pepsi points. Because let's face it, it's tough to not love Crystal Pepsi. So we're going to put it to the test. So give us a minute. We're going to be right back, and we're going to try out Pepsi and Crystal Pepsi blinded. Well, guys, we're back. I definitely can't see anything. We took this very seriously. This is a multiple-time wrapped McDonald's t-shirt around my head, and I'm just seeing total darkness. I can feel these glasses, so there's going to be a Crystal Pepsi, there's going to be a regular Pepsi. I'm going to try them blinded and see if I can detect any differences and, you know, let you know which one's better. So cheers on this first one. Whatever, I guess. You know, I gotta say, it tastes a lot like Pepsi, but I think this one is Crystal Pepsi already. It's off a little bit. But also, I may be off a little bit because I can't see anything. So I don't want to go too deep into that theory, but really my only exposure is by stealing like a sip of Pepsi in my water cup at like KFC or something. Like I don't really drink Pepsi out of a bottle. So it could be that, but it doesn't taste as strong or as sweet as I would have expected. I really think that that's Crystal Pepsi. I really do. But I'm gonna just have to keep an open mind to this next one and see if this is man, I'm about to really expose how weak my taste buds are if this goes poorly. Cheers. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Well, sorry, I don't usually curse on here, but this is a special occasion. I take all of that back. This one is probably Crystal Pepsi. Oh, no. Oh, no. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Okay. This one is a little bit weaker than the other one. Oh, no. Okay. I think I know.
So they don't taste the same.
They don't taste the same, but what I will say is Pepsi in a can or in a fountain is much stronger than what I project. Whichever one of these is actual Pepsi is weaker in a bottle than it is in a can or in a fountain. And because of that, I would really like to see if Crystal Pepsi ever comes back again. I would love to see it in a can, a 12-ounce can, a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans, a 6-pack of 12-ounce cans. I'd like to see it in a fountain. I would like to really experience that on a non-bottle level because I think that bottled soda or bottled anything, it's not as good as the can. It's not as good as the fountain. I was really, okay, so no matter which one it is, I don't know, I could be just totally wrong here, but no matter which one it is, the Pepsi flavor is not as strong as the Pepsi that I'm used to in a fountain or in a can. It's just not. Let me do one more. Let me do one more. Oh man, okay, I do know. They're pretty similar, but this one is a lighter drink than this one. So I'm gonna say it's just there's less cola intensity on this side than there is on this side, and that's making me believe that regular brand Pepsi is to my right and Crystal Pepsi is to my left. That's my final assessment. Don't listen to anything I said in the first 30 seconds. Ryan, wait, am I correct? Or should I self-reveal?
Which one do you like better?
Neither. Actually, I don't really like them that much. I expected to like, because I do like Pepsi. Which one do I like better? That's a good, that still deserves an answer.
Which one do you hate less?
Man, these are tasting more and more similar all the time. Oh, man. I think I prefer Crystal Pepsi. I do. It's interesting because if
the one
this...
on your left?
If the one on my left, I hope. So I've convinced myself that I'm right.
Right.
Am I right? Hold on. I'm just going to take this off because I'm not changing my guess at this point. Okay. Yes! Oh, man. I almost screwed that up pretty bad at the beginning, but it does taste different. It doesn't taste as cola, as strong in the cola vein. So Ryan, why don't you grab a slug of this?
I'll test
You're gonna do this
later.
off?
I'll
Okay.
test it later.
So here's what I'll say. I prefer Crystal Pepsi in bottle to Pepsi in bottle. But I prefer like what I think to be Pepsi in my head to Crystal Pepsi in a bottle. So if I had to like rank Pepsis, it would be fountain and can Pepsi, Crystal Pepsi, bottled Pepsi. So not too awfully bad, but man, this is just reaffirming that I would really like to see Crystal Pepsi in a non-bottle form. Man, I gotta tell you, it was a shocker. I think that you guys should try this at home if you get Crystal Pepsi. Also get regular Pepsi and blind yourself as legitimately as you can, because I think you'll be surprised. I associate Pepsi as such a sweet drink, such a strong flavor, and when I was blindfolded, it doesn't really pop quite as much. So, what I will do though is I'm going to give a Gimmick Grade for Crystal Pepsi. I got to tell you, without Crystal Pepsi, I don't even know if Consumer Time Capsule would exist, because the very first thing that when I got eBay in like 1997 or 8, the very first thing that I found was this can of Crystal Pepsi. That was the very first thing that I purchased for my collection. Things that you don't see in the capsule right now are giant 6-foot tall banners for Crystal Pepsi, 2-liter bottles of Pepsi, all kinds of stuff. Like, it was so important to me, and like the memories of that were just so, they would be unobtainable without the internet. And this wouldn't have returned without the internet. And like, the feeling of being able to relive that small part of my life that was really important to me and really significant to me, really ended up leading to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So that really, in a lot of ways, Crystal Pepsi is why I'm here and why I'm so passionate about this stuff. So if I can't give this a 10, I don't know what I can give a 10 to. So I would really like to say thank you to Pepsi for, first off, coming up with the concept and trying it out and giving it their best effort to begin with. Crystal Pepsi was a drink that I really enjoyed as a kid, and a concept that I celebrate to this day. I think that they brought it back a few too many times now. I think Crystal Pepsi has become its own thing. I think it's mostly just like people that like the new Crystal Pepsi instead of people that want to try it one more time. Like, I feel like we've already exhausted that market like the first couple times. So if Crystal Pepsi comes back, and I hope it does, let's see it in cans. Let's see it in fountains. Let's see it in glass bottles. It used to come in glass bottles. Let's see it in a different delivery mechanism, or let's try to better replicate the aesthetics. I mean, it can't be that hard to come up with that can. You know what I mean? So it doesn't look that much like original Crystal Pepsi. So, but nonetheless, I have to give it a 10. As long as Crystal Pepsi is on a shelf, that's a 10 Gimmick Grade. So, so thank you, Pepsi, for putting it out. Let's do something a little different next time if you decide to bring it back again. Capsule countdown. I'm going to rank both of these, and I'm going to say, look, bottled Pepsi is just not as good. Not as good as regular Pepsi. It'd be cool. Like, I know that this has probably been done in 1,000 YouTube videos. We should do a blind taste test between all the different colas. Just like figure out what's happening.
Or Pepsi fountain can versus...
Oh, that's going to be I can just tell you right now, that'd be a no-brainer.
Well,
you would know that this does not have the same intensity as like the can and fountain drink. But hey, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong. Nonetheless, second place in today's capsule countdown, I'm going to give to regular Pepsi because, it's just... It's not intense enough to be good because it's intense. And it's not light enough to be good because it's light. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 in this bottle. Not as good as I expected it to be. I'll give the regular Crystal Pepsi a 5 out of 10. I want to like it more than I like it. I mean, I love Crystal Pepsi in a lot of ways, but taste just isn't one of them right now. It tastes a little bit better when they're not drowned in some ice. So let me reevaluate it real quick. Yeah, I'll go 5. I wouldn't put this on ice, and I'll give this a 6. Not too bad, but not really as strong or intense as regular Pepsi, which is weird because it actually has more sodium, 90 milligrams versus 55 milligrams, and it still has 69 grams of sugar in this little bottle. So it should be more intense tasting than it is, and it's kind of weird. I don't know, but I'll give it a 6. It's not bad. I would definitely polish off one of these a year if it continues coming back. Just to remind myself of what it tastes, at least in its recent incarnations. Nonetheless, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the history. Hope you enjoyed the blind taste test. And hey, We got it right. At first, I got it very, very wrong. But then I got it right. Nonetheless, check out the Crystal Pepsi employee-only marketing tape right on the homepage of the Consumer Time Capsule YouTube channel. If you like Crystal Pepsi, you're into the culture, you're interested in learning more, there's just nothing better than this. So go check that out. And before we go, what's the quote? I'm kind of messing up the quote. You got to look twice and say, hey, there's a cola in there. I want to try that. Until next time, guys, I'll miss you till I see you. Cheers.